Welcome to Tuesday, Truth and Reconciliation Day here at Mohawk Raceway. Right now, it's going to be the Randy Show for a little bit there. John Rollis running a little bit late. I'm sure he's going to hook us, part way through the show, and then we'll get to hear his thoughts. In the meantime, you're stuck with me tonight, but we got lots going on tonight. We got some golds going on. Chad was telling you tonight. We got the return tonight of Bojangles, the undefeated Bojangles, and right now Bojangles is the talk of the entire standardbred industry, whether it be down in the United States, here, Australia, everywhere. It seems that Bojangles is on everybody's lips, and you're going to get a chance to see him compete tonight a little bit later on. And also tonight in the golds, we got the 3-year-old trotting fillies as well. That should be quite interesting with the return of Sprite Sealster, Stormont Beautiful, Mona Lishi, and we also got the 3-year-old golds for 3-year-old trotting colts tonight as well, the boys and the girls tonight. And we're going to get to see horses like PL Spencer, Galen Urso, and LMC Wagon Wheel, and a host of others as well. So got some really interesting racing going on in here tonight. So, before we do get into tonight's racing, though, Chad alluded to earlier on, we had one driver last night, had a huge night last night. I mean, as big as you can get. And that is Mr. Doug McNair. So let's break down Monday McNair night. And 3 golds for Mr. McNair. So he's going to start it off in race number 2 with a clean deal for trainer Kyle Fellows. Now, this is Daya, his biggest competition, so far to light. I think that maybe at this point, maybe a clean deal has a little bit of an advantage on Daya. But both of them racing like champs. Daya going to finish second this time, but this is the night of McNair. So in race number 4, we're going to continue with the Doug McNair show, and this is going to be Cher Hill, trained by. No, this is not Cher Hill. This is the replay again of Daya and a clean deal. So here we are, race number 4, and this is going to be the winner here, Cher Hill, for Doug McNair and Father Greg, owner Tom Hill on this one. 3-year-old trotting fillies, and I mean, nice, easy, cool McNair steer here. Look at this. Doesn't pull the plugs till deep into the lane, is able to measure and measure and measure. Bingo Night, unfortunately, is going to have to give way to her. Travis Henry big flash of speed on the outside with, I can't remember which one that was now. Oh, I think that was mic'd up, maybe? Yeah. Touched by, and now we got Touched by an Angel with Doug again. Big 3-wide move around this one as well. And here he is going to be able to lay down some big fractions with this one. Looks like Strobe Light out in front there for James McDonald is going to maybe, be the best in this one. But Dougie is relentless on McNair night, and he is going to come at this one for his 3rd gold on the evening. And right there, that's it. That's the one that does it. That's the money shot right there. And now we're going to move on, and Bob McClure says, enough of this Doug McNair show. Get on my back and see if you can beat me with this one. And it's not going to happen. This is flowing tribute from the Paul Reed stable. I mean, definitely our stable, the star of the 2-year-old trotting fillies. Not the pacing colts. This is the 2-year-old trotting fillies, and she is a champ. Really looks good in here. Like I said, Bobby's and Flowing Tribute are going to put an end to the Dougie McNair show. But up till that point, it certainly was the Doug McNair show. Great job done by all of our drivers and horses last night. And I think, like I said, tonight, we're more or less on the same page tonight. A lot of really talented youngsters out there doing some racing. So let's take a look at the handicapping stats for Monday night, though. That should be always interesting, too, see what kind of wagering was going on. And again, the great picture of Mr. McNair. So 3 gold wins for Dougie in races 2, 4, and 6. That was nice that he kept them even races. Travis Henry doubled up in races 5 and 9. Bobby McClure also with 2 wins as well. And James McDonald started out the night perfect and ended the night perfect in between. Little vacant on the wins, but James with 2 as well, 1 and 10. Race 9 exactor paid $300 to JG's pal. That was a Travis Henry, I think, and Chip Happen. Not quite sure who was driving Chip Happen, but I'm pretty sure it was Travis Henry for JG's pal. And dollar jackpot high five consolation paid $590, and the carryover creeping up to 25,000 plus, and you're going to be able to play for that tonight in that jackpot high five that comes around in race number 10. So that's what we did on Monday. A lot of money to be made, but it seemed to me that the most money that was being made was Doug McNair. He seemed to be making more money than anybody. So let's move on again. We are going to start this night, I think. So let's head right into the replays that we're going to provide for you tonight and break down this racing tonight. And we're going to start it off right in race number 1. As you can, if you tuned in earlier on when Chad was doing the changes, you're going to know there's going to be a few horses that aren't going to be with us tonight. We've got some sickness and we got some transportation scratches, so just beware. In this first race, Nazy unfortunately came up a bit nasal, so he's going to be scratch sick in here tonight. Will not be competing with us. Going to be down to a field of 8, and this is the race that starts off that $75,000 guaranteed pick 5. Pick the winners of races 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and you're playing for a $75,000 guaranteed pot in that one. So let's break this down. I myself am going to go to a horse that I thought was racing incredibly well this spring, but has a bit of time off, and now he's going to come back and he's going to face some really, really tough horses, and that horse's name is the 2-horse New Rules. Really, really like the way that this guy was racing earlier on in the year. As you can see, that already $145,000 put away, and he hasn't raced since May, middle of May. So you can tell what kind of a spring that this guy had. Really, really big efforts. Trevor Henry got along great with him. Trevor coming back for the ride in here tonight. James McDonald was the guy that qualified this horse, but Trevor will be driving him in here tonight. So let's take a look at the qualifier on New Rules. And again, I think that this is a good one. You know, for anybody out there knows that James, you know, he loves to hide his horses in qualifiers. And this one here, he put him in front and let him do his work. And this is kind of the reason why I'm using him in here tonight. You know, if James was happy enough with him that he could just put him on the hammer and let him trot, then I think that he's going to be pretty good to go in here. You know, Emoji Hanover's been trotting in 52, Safe Conduct 53, 52. This guy qualifies in 53 and 1. That's right, not 53 and 4, 53 and 1. So he's about as close to 52 and change as what you're going to get first time out. Now Trevor, his regular driver, is going to take over the duties on this guy again in here tonight. Knows him very, very well, and I'm going to take a chance, throw him up on top. You know, there's a couple of other ones that I like in here as well. Safe Conduct, we're going to use him in here for second. Emoji Hanover, racing very, very well. Going to use her in here for third. Devil's Arch, also racing quite well for JF McGuire. Last week, James wasn't here. Todd Bratchford subbed for Devil's Arch, and I thought it was a good effort. He got him into a good spot, but just nothing really worked out for him. But as you can see, the last quarter, 27 flat. It wasn't a matter that Devil's Arch wasn't racing good or didn't have any trot on the end of it. He had trot, just no place really to go with him. And he's going to draw the rail in here tonight, and that's always a little dicey too about where you're going, what kind of a trip that you can get from the rail. So in this first race, I'm going to go 2, 7, 5, and 1 in here. Again, I'm going to take a chance with New Rules. You know, maybe I'm asking for a little bit too much first start, but I've noticed a little bit lately there that I find that Dave's been going more 1 qualifier as opposed to 2. He used to do 2 qualifiers a lot, but now it seems like he's down to 1. I'm thinking that maybe he's got some good fast training miles into her, maybe even a school mile too, and he should be good to go on the 1 qualifier. So let's move on to race number 3. And as we are moving on to race number 3, let's welcome somebody else to the studio tonight. Somebody else dressed in orange tonight. and he'll be with us very momentarily. So race number 3, we do have another scratch. The 8 horse who was going to be my top pick in this race, Doc's Girl Friday, is not going to be with us tonight. Another sick scratch out there. So it looks like we got a little bit of sickness out there. So I'm going to stay with who I had in for second. It was a bit of a decision for me anyway on Doc's Girl Friday and Whoa Black Betty. But I'm going to go Whoa Black Betty. What say you, Mr. Rollis, now that you're here and involved into this racing? Thank you, Chris.
Yep, right on cue. I'm going to take a shot against this Whoa Black Betty tonight. I'm going to go to Redland Sapphire. I think that this one, I thought she qualified pretty well. So I'm going to give this daughter of Bulldog Hanover a shot here. But I think Doc's Girl Friday, a big scratch here, Randy, tonight. But Whoa Black Betty, I agree with your assessment as I was walking in and kind of heard you talking about it. You have to figure that she's going to be tight enough for a pretty good effort. But and you have to figure she's got a tightener coming in as opposed to just that lone qualifier. So one that I'm going to use on my pick 5 ticket. But I'm going to give a shot to this John Pentland trainee. Like I said, I thought that qualifying effort was better than maybe the line indicates.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a good one involved with the Redland Sapphire. Outside draw, though, that doesn't bother you in the least?
I mean, it bothers me some, but I just think I'm going to get a little bit more value than maybe Whoa Black Betty. But, I liked her qualifying effort. I know she's going to take support, but we've seen these connections pop up with some pretty good efforts here with some first-time starters, maybe when we don't expect it. So, I like the qualifying effort, like I said, and I think this is one who's got the ability to get the job done at first asking, assuming the trip works out.
Do you go with the 9 horse on top, even with the scratch of Doc's Girl Friday? Like, even if she's racing, you still go to the 9?
She was my top pick, yeah.
Right off the top?
She was my top pick. But I think Doc's Girl Friday, that was one that I liked on her first start over the big track, and she took another step forward here.
She was going to be my Waples watch. I thought that she was kind of sitting on that effort, Seems like she was ready for a big one.
Look at the filly who beat her, too, last time out, right?
Yeah.
So favoritism, one that many of us liked in that spot, so you have to figure that she was going to be a favorite here tonight. But unfortunate that a couple of Jody Cullen trainees scratched out of their starts.
Bit of sickness.
Yep, seems like it.
All right, good.
We're going to move on to race number 4 here, and that kicks off the pick 6. We had a carryover last night, Randy. It reaped a pretty good return. It was a 4,400 for a buck, but no carryover tonight. But we're going to kick off the pick 6 sequence with an OSS Gold here, and we've got some sophomore trotting colts and a field of 9, and morning line favorite PL Spencer. He's going to be the one to beat. I mean, we kind of talked about it the last couple of tries. You and I playing against him because he was in some overnights against older rivals that we thought might, be raced a little bit harder, which they were. But this guy still proved to be a little bit too much. Bobby gave him some pretty good steers, and in a Gold here with the versatility he's shown, he's going to be awfully tough.
I agree with you. Yeah, there's some interesting changes coming in tonight, though, right?
Yep.
So you're going PL Spencer?
I'm going to go with him.
I'm going to go PL Spencer, and let's take a look at the replay on this last race for PL Spencer on the September the 22nd. And when we're watching this replay, John, I'll just throw a couple of these kind of what I think are some interesting changes. So let's start with Galen Urso, though. What's your thoughts on Galen Urso tonight, going on Lasix and heading to the hobbles on Galen Urso? Now, as you see the replay now going with PL Spencer, Bobby McClure going to be driving this guy, going to be coming more or less mid-pack. You can see second over. But what's your thoughts on Galen Urso, John?
Well, we saw that something similar to Cher Hill last night, right? I mean, a couple of miscues, adding the trotting hopple. She had a qualifier under her belt, what I thought was a solid one, and she bounced back with a win off that. So here's a similar thing to Galen Urso, right? I mean, this guy's coming off a couple of miscues against tougher company, right? Taking on, some Sire Stakes company there in Kentucky, and Super Chapter would be the one to beat here in this field, right? So he added the hopples. He stayed at it at Dayton, added Lasix in that qualifying effort. So I think this guy merits a lot of respect. I really, it was hard for me not to put him on top. Not because I don't know if I can't say maybe he's the best one in this group. I think PL Spencer's the sharpest one. I think many of us can agree with that. But I think there's a couple of changes here that add an element of intrigue. But I don't think that's the only. This is the only sophomore trotting colt in this race that adds an element of intrigue. How about the shoeing change on Dag van Henriksen's charge, Modelo Gold? He hasn't raced well over his last 2 tries. We know the ability's there, but he's pulling the shoes, barefoot all around. And when he does this in particular, him specifically, his horses typically put forth a pretty good effort. So I'm expecting a good effort now because of that.
I agree. I threw him in on the bottom of mine, and then the shoeing change came in here tonight. I don't think it would have changed the way I played it anyway because he had the 9-hole. But if this horse had middle of the gate and that shoeing change comes in, he goes from 4th up to probably 2nd or 3rd. I think that there's something there, and this guy is starting to get better here on his own, even without the shoeing change coming in.
I think he's a must-use on pick 5 tickets. Again, you don't have to, as I always say, you don't have to weigh tickets equally, right? I mean, you can have certain horses that you're going to use for a bigger base, but I think this is a horse that if you're playing pick 5 tickets, throw him in. We've seen Dagfin get the job done with horses when he goes barefoot, and we're not talking about like a short number. We're talking about big numbers. There was that trotter that used to come from off the pace. Always got away in a bad spot, but he pulled the shoes on. I'm drawing a blank on the name. I think he went to Rideau after that, but
I know which one you mean.
He pulled the shoes and he got the job done. He was a horse that was racing well, and again, it's not like this son of Muscle Mass doesn't have the talent. He showed it. He's just needs to find his form again because he's hit a little bit of a lull period as well.
Yeah, and I mean, and sometimes it just works for just about any trainer. It doesn't necessarily have to be Dagfin. I mean, we've seen Renee Dion do it with Flanagan Sunshine where it's worked out for them. We've seen Oka Svanstead come here on big nights and pull shoes.
We just see that more frequently in the States. I don't know if it's a thing where we see it more so with the Scandinavian trainers where they just typically like to pull the shoes, but we see it with everybody. Like Noel likes to do it, Lucas Wallen likes to do it. Just everybody in the States, it's a common theme, and when they find a little bit more speed when they do that, we don't see it as often here, so that's why it's something to monitor. We're gonna move over to race number 5, and this closes out that early pick 5 sequence. Competitive way to close out this multi-leg, Randy, and morning line favorite's going to be the 9-horse Truffles 2, taking a bit of a drop down in class. That's the way I went to in this spot, but I think you can go several different directions here. Which way did you go?
I end up going Phoenix.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I like Robertson in here still. I think that even though his form isn't exactly what we're kind of used to, I still think that that's a deep horse. When Ricky gets him on a good groove, he's going to stack together a lot of wins, I think. But Phoenix, and we're going to send the replay in on the September the 15th race with this guy. I think that, he puts a lot of money on his card in these pop-up series, Phoenix. But regardless of that, this is a horse that they've done a great job with him. You know what I mean?
Time.
Like when he started out, I wouldn't have said that the horse, basically to me was about a 15 or 20 claimer type of a horse. Not really any flashy speed, but they've really turned him into a really, really nice horse. And I think that, between Bobby McClure, J.B. Renault, and Julie Walker, like what they've done with this guy is just amazing. And every once in a while, he can come up with a really, really huge kind of an effort. Bobby McClure could have went back to PL Rainbow Dash, who always seems to have huge movement on the end of it. But he's going to go with Phoenix. And like I said, I've been kind of tracking him for a few weeks. I just think that he's on a really, really good frame right now. And even though the 7's not exactly perfect, the 7 hole, I think it's good enough that it can keep him close enough without him having to do too much exertion to get himself involved. And if he's involved, I think he can come up with a big move on the end of it.
And he can leave. I know we don't see like hard leaves as of late, but he's a horse. Yeah, he's a horse that can leave. And the 7 hole is going to be no issue if that's the tactic that Bob elects to deploy here from the 7 hole. But I think Royalty Beer could be a horse pushing out of there, and I think Truffles too. Look, this is a drop in class for him. I thought he raced well last time out, despite getting beat by 10 lengths. Couple of moves and a half of 55. I don't think that's his trip, per se. And I think in this class with James McDonald back aboard, I think this is a guy that merits respect. So he's in a pretty good spot, but I think he's susceptible to getting beat, I'd say, even though he's one of my plays of the night.
Sounds good.
All right, we're going to move on to race number 6, and that kicks off the late pick 5, and we've got another gold here for 3-year-old trotting fillies. There's 3 golds tonight, is there not?
There
3.
is. So.
All right, and we get to see Mona Lishi back in action in a gold. She had a tightener under her belt, Randy, last time out. I'd say that was a good tightener. Came first over against some pretty good rivals. And I think that's exactly what she needed from a fitness standpoint. I went back to her in this direction, but I acknowledge she's likely going to be the race favorite. But I think you can make the case for a couple others in here because these are some sharp fillies.
Yeah, I mean, I got Mona Lishi in for 3rd. I agree with you. I think that she is going to be race favorite. And one of the biggest reasons, too, is she's reunited with James. That's going to bring a lot of money in. There's no 3-year-old trotting filly out there right now, like on our circuit, Ontario Sires, that's any sharper than Stormont Beautiful is right now. And I mean, especially on the end of her races, she is dangerous. McClure going to be jumping up on her. Tyler Borth had a great run with her in the Elegant Image, winning in the elimination at 52-1, then coming back at odds of 14-1 from the trailer. And ends up coming up with a good, third, but going to end up being placed second with the inquiry on our Duchess, you know. But now Tyler has got to go back to the filly that he owns, and probably, you know, she's pretty nice filly himself, so I don't think that this is any kind of a letdown for Tyler. And Sprite Sealster are going to come in with a shoeing change tonight, steel to aluminum in behind, and she's going to be my pick, John, and that's the replay that I'm going to send in of her last start. Now, in my opinion, at the head of the lane, you're going to see her take some interference, and I think that is pretty substantial, the interference, because she still comes on and finishes a fourth in against some pretty nice 3-year-old trotting colts, P.L. Spencer, LMC Wagon Wheel, and that bunch. My friend Jose, a 4-year-old, you know, 4 or 5-year-old of Herb Holland's. But here she is, and like I said, Tyler down in amongst them right now, and, you know, the shoulders back, looking for room. And like I said, in my opinion, I think he takes a little bit of a bump in here right about sort of now. He has to kind of more or less start her get going back right in here. This is it, where she makes a break. Now he has to laterally move her sideways, almost comes off the track, and now has to keep her going. I think that she was live up till that point. I think that kind of, you know, put a little bit of a kink into her race. Tyler comes right back. Shoeing change comes in. He's lightening her up behind, going to go to aluminum. She's going to need every advantage to take this field down. It's a really, really tough bunch, but I do look at it as she's going to be my beat the favorite.
Yeah, I think she's going to have a big opportunity to bounce back with a winning effort, and it's tough, right? A 3-year-old trotting filly. She was taking on some of the Gold Colts in the sophomore trotting division, and against some older rivals like my friend Jose in that spot, landing on time. So that was a really tough spot for her. And look, Tyler Borth having to jump off Stormont Beautiful was inevitable because he, you know, owns this filly. So I mean, like you said, he did a great job with Stormont Beautiful. She's gonna, you know, retain a driver who's familiar with her, and Bob McClure. So this is a nice group of fillies though that we've got, and I think Sprite Sealster, her versatility, I think, is gonna, you know, prove valuable in this spot. And I tell you what, she's raced really, really well all season long. Tyler and Katie have done a sensational job with her.
Give me a sleeper.
Sleeper here. You're going to put me on the spot. I have to say it's bright green.
Really?
Right?
That's right. I'm going to go Stove It.
Okay. Stove It. All right.
From prospect to gold, my friend.
I don't know if bright green is a sleeper, but I think one that might get a little bit more ignored per se because of Mona Lisa and Stormont Beautiful in this spot. That would be quite the step up for Stove It, I'd say, though. But a dominant effort last time out. But in hindsight, she probably should have got the job done versus a group like that, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be quite the step up, though.
Wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be.
Prospect to gold, my friend. Anything's possible, right?
Absolutely, it really is.
Especially with McNair right now, the role he's on.
And Green Glider, though, I thought that was an improved effort.
Yeah.
You know, if the trip scenario sets up for her. I mean, at one point earlier on this season, we said she was the now filly, but that was a few months ago. But again, I like that effort. I thought that was a step in the right direction.
I agree. And I also kind of interested to see Exquisite Taste coming out on the Lasix program. I think that she'll probably be given an easy one right now, but down the road, she's not far off from being one of the best ones too. And now adding Lasix could be interesting.
Louis Wall co-owning a couple of fillies here in the spot.
Going to go with the outside.
Going to the outside. I can't really fault him there. She put forth a nice effort there in that 52 mile. We're going to move on to the next Golden Race, number 8. And you spoke about Bojangles, Randy. We're going to get a chance to see him compete yet again locally. We're going to be scratched down to a field of 7. Windor, who was a winner in that Champlain, and what was a big effort there on September 6th. So, you know, he would have made this field even more competitive, but this is still a really good group of rookie trotting colts. Actually, we're scratched down to a field of 6. Didn't realize Jose's triplets is going to be scratched here tonight. But I don't know.
Just came in.
Yeah, either that's late or that's an error, but just see that he's scratched. But still, some good colts, like I said, Randy, and a few of these colts coming out of the Metro, including Tulloch House Come Home, as well as Redland Rocket Man, and I thought both colts put forth a pretty good effort.
Yeah, no, I agree with you as well there. I mean, you know, it's going to stay hard to stay away from Bojangles, and to tell you the truth, John, too, I think it's going to be hard to make money in this race.
Yeah, no place wagering and no show wagering as well, so it's a race. If you like Bojangles, you're going to have to try and find an exactor player and try and punch this cold, right? I'm not sure you're going to get much value, but the only thing I can suggest is try and turn a 1-9 shot into maybe a 9-5 winner or something, right?
Or because use him in a late pick 3.
Yeah, or just you know, try and extract some value. He's going to be a popular single. If you think he can get beat, just toss
1-9,
him. Yeah,
won't he?
Yeah, 1-9. He
Yeah,
will be
guaranteed.
1-9. But
let's take a look at the great Bojangles. And you know what's so great about him, John? is this is one of the few times there that you're going to see a horse get stronger as the season goes on. That doesn't happen all the time, you know, and no one can tell me that he hasn't gotten stronger. I mean, how do you better yourself when you go out your first lifetime start and you win in 150 as a 2-year-old? But somehow or another he has. He's gotten stronger, better, the whole deal. I mean, look at how bright his eyes are right here, the ears going back, listening to see who's coming for him, listening to McClure, and here comes a horse. Is he going to let him get up alongside of him? No. He just turns him away, finds a little bit more, you know, and is able to hold off a really, really, you know, awesome colt himself in Frantic Hanover.
I know Doc, you know, he openly said in some of those interviews prior or leading up to the Metro that he wishes that he could have maybe seen him go a little bit faster because, you know, he knows that the speed's going to have to step up in the Metro. He did step it up, and he proved that he had it in his back pocket. Bob never broke a sweat in those wins. Bojangles never broke a sweat. And, you know, I almost wonder if it's a bit of experience even on Bob's part as well. I mean, he's driven so many talented horses in his career, but you know, for me, what comes to mind is Mirage Hanover, right? When he drove him as a rookie, he went some pretty quick miles, but he was racing consistently. You know, there was a stretch maybe where he raced 4 to 5 weeks in a row leading up to that Metro, and he was going some sub 50 miles or around 50. And, you know, ultimately in the Metro Pace of Limbs, it just didn't put forth his best effort. I don't know if that was just a bad day, if fatigue started to set in, but you could see Bob just said, I'm winning comfortably. I don't need to kind of show off a little bit more or go faster. When the time comes, he's going to have it. And he proved it in the Metro. So you know, I'm curious if maybe a little bit of experience also, you know, played a role in there, because he certainly, like you said, he had a good one coming at him. And he never even got a chance to look him in the eye.
No, he paced away. He's a special horse, you know what I mean? That's the thing. Like he started out the same as any horse, but he's completely changed that around, and that's from anybody in the business, you know, not just the idea that he's undefeated. It's what he's doing on the track. You are looking at, you know, probably the closest horse that I've seen to Some Beach Somewhere in a very long time. And to me, Some Beach Somewhere was the closest that I seen to a horse years ago called Niatros. So this horse is really, really turning into something special. So I hope you all kind of, you know, tune in, you know, and are able to watch this guy race. And I hope he puts out a big effort for you tonight, because coming back as a 3-year-old in the Glamour Boy division, this guy could really, really help this industry big time.
Still some big races to go, but I'd say he's the favorite right now to win Canadian Horse of the Year. I mean, right, he's perfect 8 for 8. He's done no wrong so far, but the test is going to get deep again. Breeders' Crown final night, you know, because there's going to be an even deeper group here in late October than the group that he faced in the Metro, which was still a good group, but it's going to be a little bit deeper. We're going to move on to race number 9, and Bob gets a live drive in race number 8, and he's going to have another one in back-to-back races. Randy Gaines, Hanover. He hasn't picked up a win over his last several starts, but you can't say the efforts have been poor. That was a really good effort in that free-for-all trot, and he was up against it from the word go. I think it's tough to beat him here in this spot, especially in a short field.
Agreed. That's where I go to. So we can take a look at the replay, the last replay on Gaines Hanover, and this was a pretty good one. You know, it was a $75,000 free-for-all. You know, had to face a couple, and Antonogny, isn't
Antonioni.
That it? Antonioni, and Logan Park in here, drawn impression as well, and he's going to finish a good 4th, and I think that he's been trending to a better go, John, and the biggest thing that I see with him is I like the way he's trotting now better than, say, he was about maybe 4 or 5 starts ago. I kind of thought he went through a little bit of a lull there, but I love the way that he's kind of settled back into his own his own way here, and he's going to come flashing some speed on the outside. And like I said, Logan Park, you know, Antonioni, tough on the names, aren't I? And here he comes on the end of it, really short field. I've always considered him maybe to be the best of what I would consider to be the big 3. Fashion Frenzy, Amigo Volo, and him. I always thought that Logan Park was the better of all of them, but I'm not 100% sure if at some point there's been a few occasions where Gaines Hanover actually, to me, acted like he had a little bit of a go on Logan Park. but we're not going to have to see Logan Park in here, and I think that this is Gaines' race to win.
Yeah, I think he's the fastest of the bunch maybe at this point. I think he's got a little bit more speed to offer, but again, it's, post positions. He's not as handy off the car at all times, and I think that's, it's hard to out-sprint horses like Amigo Volo, who can get some soft middle halves, who's a really good horse in his own right. So Gaines Hanover's going to, work from an inside draw to work with. The biggest thing is where's he going to get away, how Bobby's going to try and operate from that spot. He's a pretty gutsy horse, Randy. He can do it first over if need be. But, obviously if he can work out an easier trip, I think it's going to, bode even well. It's going to be much, much easier. But Fashion Frenzy, again, a horse that I think has been racing well. He's got a good draw to work with here as well. So I think we'll see some early speed from him tonight now that he doesn't have post 10.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, it should be a pretty good little tilt, even though there's only 6 in it.
Yeah, what about Elmo? He's sharp, right? This is going to be a big step up for him in the open, but he's a horse that who's raced his way up here, right? So this is a horse who is going to get to test the deep waters here yet again. We're going to move on to race number 10. Oh, no, we're done in terms of replays. We're going to touch on some multi-leg wagers, and let's go through your pick 5 ticket. Randy, I'm curious to see, did you go all in on new rules?
I went all in.
You went all.
I went all in, right. John. So yes, I'm gonna go. On the first race, I'm all in it. I like new rules in here, and if I win, I'm gonna get a price there. I don't really see anybody standing out as the chalk. So I think that the different ways I can get lucky in this race and maybe start to set up a price. Race 2, I'm going to single the 6 horse. I Am That Special. For Paul Walker. I think this one's really, really starting to come along from the prospect. $100,000 London purchase, this one. In race number 3, I'm going to go 4, 6, and 7 in here. A whole Black Betty, Twin B Honolulu, and I'll be Bulldoggeth. I think it's
I'll be Bulldog Beth.
Yeah, there you go.
All right.
And in race number 4, I'm going to single the 7 horse PL Spencer.
Right.
And in race number 5 will be the single of the 7 horse Phoenix.
Okay, you and I taking similar approaches in terms of keying a horse in race number 5. Can assure you though, the race number 4 should be 1 and 7, and race number 5 should be the 9. I think those are your 2 singles in the last 2 legs. Instead, I think somehow they got.
Oh, I singled. We
have different.
Right.
The 9 horse is my play of the night in race number 5. Truffles 2. So race 4 should be. What is it? Galen Urso, as well as P.L. Spencer in race number 4. The rest of it checks out, though. So I'm going to go all in on new rules. He's going to be my single there. Race number 2, I'll single I'm That Special. I think, Bella Chica is a significant scratch. Race number 3, I will go 7 and 9, Wool Black Betty and Redland Sapphire. Race number 4, it will be Galen Urso, the 1 horse, as well as the 7, P.L. Spencer. And race number 5 will be Truffles 2 will be my single there in race number 5. So there we got it. There you go, the graphics team. Thank you to them getting it done. Still, both of us providing some pretty affordable tickets there. But
3 singles, $4.
3 singles for me. It would have been too deep in race number 2. I would have used both of them, both fillies that figure. I thought Bella Chica was one that was my top pick, and I inherited the 6 horse now by virtue of the scratch. So I feel pretty good about it. Hopefully we can get the job done, and I think I still might consider adding a horse like Modelo Gold because on a small ticket, why not?
Absolutely.
All right, there's our thoughts on tonight's races and tonight's sequence, but we're gonna preview Thursday. You're gonna be riding solo on Thursday, but you've still got some good races here on tap. I think we've got some nice horses that I'm intrigued to see for the first time. We've got some golds as well. We're going to get a chance to see Chantilly back in action in one of those golds, and we're going to preview that gold for 3-year-old pacing fillies. A field of 7, Randy, so Chantilly's coming off a pair of qualifying efforts, but perfectly chic, sharp, wicked pace, added Lasix in her most recent try. So if she's back to what we expect her to be, she's going to be tough.
She's going to be tough to beat in here, but she's going to have to be on her game.
Out of
3
this world
horses
Deo.
on her game right now. Out of this world Deo on her game. Eternal Delay. Yeah, she's in for it. But if she shows up at, I'm going to say 85%, I think that she's still better than them.
Yep, I would have to say.
Yeah,
absolutely.
she's pretty special.
So, a couple of nice qualifying efforts there, and we're excited to see her back in action. We've got another gold for 3-year-old pacing colts, and Gallucci's going to have a main contender as well in that division, and you could see the morning line favorite All-Star Maniac. I believe he was scratched sick out of his most recent try, wasn't he? So he's going to hope to bounce back here in this gold, and a nice group. And there's some horses, Randy, that I think are getting sharp at the right time. 5th and 5 is one that I think definitely figures, one that you've been high on all season long. How about Boxer Sealster, his effort last time out? Could he be trending back towards being a contender in that gold division?
He's been racing, but they haven't been doing much with him. So in my opinion, he's coming in here as one of the fresher horses. And like you said, that last race might be the start of something.
And Crackshot, one that obviously merits a lot of respect here. Curious to see who's going to take favorite status between Crackshot and All-Star Maniac. But Crackshot with a dominant score last time that we saw him compete here in the gold. So a couple of nice divisions. You get to see some nice Ontario Sired Stars in action. So we've had golds all week. So it's been a lot of fun to be able to watch these guys as they gear up for the Super Final, which is going to take place next weekend. Always a fun night.
Always a fun night.
And then from there, we've got Breeders' Crown in a couple of weeks. So it's a busy schedule for some of these guys. I mean, speaking of Bojangles, I'm curious maybe what the ballpark number was for Doc in terms of number of starts, right? This is going to be start number 9 tonight, assuming he goes in the Super Final in the Breeders' Crown. That's going to be 12 on the season, right?
It's a lot,
especially but again, to his credit, it hasn't been overly taxing, right? I think that's one benefit you can take away from it, and from him at least.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, how many times have we seen him win and they close up on him in the winner's circle and he's not even blowing? Yeah. So it certainly isn't taking much out of him.
Was that always the approach people would take, even 25 years ago with like young horses? Would they try and manage the starts out, or is it a little bit different now with the speed that they're going?
Well, years ago there wasn't as many 2-year-old races, so it was easier to manage a 2-year-old, with less starts or whatever. Sire stake wise, it was about the same. But 2-year-old wise, there wasn't really that many races. There was Grand Circuit for a few of them and that, but it was a little easier back then.
Even dating back to like an Apex and a Marcus Melander, I mean, hearing him talk about just if whether they're going to enter him in the Mohawk Million, which worked out obviously, but just to hear him say, are we going to race him 4 weeks in a row, knowing that he would have had a month off anyways. I mean, it's not like he was going to race or compete anywhere else. Maybe they would have considered Kentucky otherwise, but just to hear the thought process from some of these from so many trainers and how they want to manage their horses, I always find it fascinating too, because it really, look, you can grab all the money you want this year as well, but there's a lot at stake as a 3-year-old as well. And Marcus definitely knows that, who's still looking for his first Hambletonian, and he's had numerous tries and continues to train an abundance of exceptional trotters, but I'm sure that he wants to do everything he can to try and get to the finish line first in that event.
Absolutely, incredible bunch, but then again, going back in time, how about these trainers from years ago that they have to do everything that these guys got to do now, but there was a lot of those big races back then. They were heat races, John. So you go into a race and you had to race twice that night to get the prize.
Yeah.
And this was, different, lots of horses, not just the jug. There was lots of races that way.
And speaking of management, though, it's funny because some guys opt to race horses a certain way while giving them a chance because they want to keep them fresh. But it's, Doc, he sends them out there and he wants them raced hard each week, every start, and somehow they still just come back fresh, start after start. They never seem to get tired. They just come back for another big mile, whether it's a winning effort or a losing effort.
He does a great job. He's a heck of I think, something, I think he could have been like a personal trainer, strength and fitness coach if he didn't go into horse racing, you know what I mean? Just seems like he's always got himself in good shape and he keeps his horses the same way.
Yep, I would have to agree there. But all right, so there's our thoughts on this Monday night program. We're going to go to the plays of the night here, and let's take a look at your plays board, Randy, tonight. And
it's going to be pretty light, John, because I got a couple of scratches tonight.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's
my all-in was going to be Bella Chica. Waples Watch was going to be Doc's Girl Friday. But now my beat the favorite's going to be Sprite Sealster. Worth a look all the way to the last race, and that's going to be Smoking Hot Dude.
All right.
In that last race.
So a couple of plays of the night there in that late pick 5. And for me, I don't know if I've got anything scratched tonight. I think I'm safe in that regard. But I am going to go to New Rules as my all-in. My spot play will be Truffles 2. Dropping down in class. Drop and pop as well. Villefranche. I think this is one that should get the job done. My best bet, Gaines Hanover. I'm not sure what price you're going to get in that spot, but I think he's going to get the job done anyways.
I agree with you there. I think he's going to be tough in there. And your drop and pop, does that come in the last?
Race 7.
Race 7? Yeah. She's interested coming back here again into that class, right?
Yep.
This was an interesting
This is a
class.
softer group.
Yeah, interesting class last week, but I think that this is one of the races that it was scratched, weren't we? This wasn't this one of the scratched nights.
This was the exactly
right.
That was the Tuesday night.
So, but we've had a couple come in to join. So interesting race.
Some other resident handicappers chiming in on their thoughts. Garner Barnsdale, Will Black Betty as his spot play, as seen in the Horse Players Journal. Kevin Ploucher going to LMC Wagon Wheel as a spot play. A good stand to take there in a competitive gold. And Ghislaine Paquette, in agreement with you, Randy. It's time time for Phoenix, a horse who's coming off some really sharp efforts. 1 minute to go before race number 1. We're going to kick off this Tuesday night program. Just 2 more Tuesdays left, Randy. Just this one and next week, I believe, and we're back to 4 race nights per week until, and then yeah,
no more hot dogs.
No more hot dogs. Still available up front. Till 7:30, the $2 hot dogs, sponsored by Cosa, I think. So
perfect.
All right, we're going to get this Tuesday night program underway, and we've got 3 golds to highlight it all tonight. Good luck.